this week. My Labubus, my Chinese voodoo dolls, evil, and yet protect me here as well. What did Dick Cheney say? You have to work with the dark side. A friend of mine gave these to me. We had some fun with them at the Comedy Store. I do think they're evil, and I will get rid of them. I do not like them. They give me an uneasy feeling. I don't like them. I think it's not great that we have these Chinese voodoo dolls circulating amongst the population. People are clipping them onto their travel bag. Planes are going to start going down. They already are. There's something odd about fentanyl stuffed Chinese voodoo dolls being attached to people's belt loops, and people are wearing them like necklaces, and they're actually kind of creepy critters. They're not aesthetically pleasing. They're not cute. They're kind of creepy, and everyone agrees they're kind of creepy and off-putting. Even the most ardent fans of the Labubu will agree that it's sort of a monkey's paw. But they're a status symbol. And like many things, it is completely devoid of meaning. And in a world that is increasingly devoid of meaning, it absolutely makes sense that people will be entranced by different things like this, collectibles. And the Labubu, like, I'll hold it up in my car, and I have a really nice car. Doesn't matter, but it's a nice car. But I hold up the Labubu, and people start freaking out because apparently they're hard to get. So in a world where we've created a culture that doesn't have any meaning and everything is accepted as some form of scam, and children grow up wanting to get in on the scam lest they be left out in the cold, the Labubu is the perfect symbol of the economy that we've created and the cultural value system that we have. It is a Chinese fentanyl-stuffed voodoo doll that is being exported to America. You open the package and you don't know which Labubu you have gotten. They've added the element of gambling into this. Turning 7-year-old children into gamblers. Which one did I get? I hope it's a special one. Because there's a bunch of regular ones and then there's a special one. Maybe you'll get the special one. Sure, mom and dad aren't married anymore, but maybe you'll get the special one. Maybe you'll get the special Labubu. Mommy still loves you very much. I don't know where she is. In the culture that we've created, the Labubu is a symbol of status. In a culture where nothing really matters, fame is awarded to people randomly, in many cases. Wealth is awarded to people based on a myriad of factors. Many of them seem to be out of the control of many people. So little gimmicks, little gadgets, little critters, little things like the Labubu become an important status symbol for people who have given up on owning a home, having a family, having a job, or a meaningful life. When you have given up on all of those things and you are 40 years old, no one has published your novel, no one has gotten on board with your career in entertainment because you should never have started. No one told you to, and yet you did because you followed the general advice that you should follow your dream, and whether or not you had any aptitude for that dream or the work ethic to make that dream a reality, you spent your 20s and 30s in and out of bed with random people. You didn't build a relationship. You didn't build a career. You didn't build a skill set. Unfortunately, many of the jobs you would be qualified to do are no longer available for you. You are fighting a battle with age, with dynamics of the economy you barely understand because None of us do. But you have a Labubu on your bag when you visit your sister who has a family. And her kids think it's cool. It is really what motivates, all these articles. I wonder why do people, listen, people have always liked collectibles. My mother loved them. She was a schizophrenic, but she liked them. Beanie Babies, McDonald's toys, Hess trucks. It's a part of the American culture to get into collectibles. And it's always a kind of get-rich-quick scheme. I can get a bunch of cool things, and then one day they'll be worth a lot more. They never are, but that's the idea. The Antiques Roadshow, maybe the most American show ever. Boomers go, well, I bought something at a garage sale. Hopefully the Declaration of Independence is in the back of this dresser, and I can retire. That's what America's about. So the Labubu isn't new, but expect a lot more of it. The company Pop Mart is now worth what? Get up the worth of this company, which again is only the Labubu, little Chinese fentanyl stuffed demon troll doll. Pop Mart's market capitalization is estimated at $46 billion. Pop Mart's market cap has significantly increased with a reported 205% change in 2025. It's worth noting that the net worth can also refer to the company's net assets. As of December 2024, Pop Mart's net assets are reported by company's market cap to be $1.5 billion. Okay. It's a huge increase in market capitalization. And it's because they have gotten people addicted to this little off-putting critter. It's a critter. Little voodoo doll. And this is the future of the global economy, by the way. It's going to be crazes that drive people to buy things like this. This is going to I wouldn't say it's something new, but the scope of it is new. The amount of money that is being spent is going to be big, and because of the internet, everything is global. And these little signifiers of status, which there was a brief moment when NFTs, non-fungible tokens, were signifiers of status, are replacing the old signifiers of status, like, look, here's my children. That used to be status. My son is good at soccer. That was status. You cannot afford a son. You cannot afford a soccer ball. You will get a Labubu. That's what you'll get. You will get a demonic Chinese voodoo doll, and you will attach it to the bag you live out of, and that is it. You are not going to get a house. You will get a little critter. You will get today's version of a gigapet. That's what's going on. And the people's eyes, even the adults, their eyes get big. You've got one of them. I want one of them. What? A family? No, that demon doll, that troll, that critter. And if you look at the face of Labubu, get the close-up of the face. It's evil. It's not smiling in a nice way. It's an evil being. It knows it has you under a spell. That is the face a cocaine dealer makes when they hand you an 8-ball. The Labubu is not your friend. The Labubu is here to control you. And I am mad I don't have a special one. Someone brought these to me at dinner, and it's not even a good one. It's not a special one. It's like a very normie one. So I'm pissed about that, on top of all of that. So let's talk about the quickly collapsing White House for a few minutes, because it's becoming interesting. There was purportedly a dinner that was being set up with J.D. Vance, the vice president, Susie Wiles, Trump's chief of staff, Kash Patel, the very competent head of the FBI, sarcasm, and Pam Bondi, again, very competent attorney general. And they were all supposedly going to dinner to silence Dan Bongino, podcaster turned administration official. And they were supposedly meeting to tell Dan Bongino to shut up about Jeffrey Epstein and about the cover-up. And this is what was supposedly happening. But there were leaks. People started leaking. The meeting appeared to have been moved or rescheduled Wednesday night. Some officials who were expecting to attend the meeting, including Vance and Attorney General Pam Bondi, were spotted leaving the White House on Wednesday evening. Administration officials told CNN earlier in the day that there were discussions about moving, canceling, or rescheduling the meeting amongst tense media scrutiny. So what's going on is there's a lot of finger pointing. People are angry with each other, obviously, but also they've realized that this is the nail in the coffin for their credibility. Dan Bongino has realized that. What is Bongino? What is he? Kash is the head of the FBI. What is Dan Bongino? I'm blanking now on what he actually does. Okay. He's the deputy director of the FBI, and then Kash Patel is the director of the FBI. Okay. Dan Bongino reportedly is going rogue. This guy's like, hey, I have a podcast. This is Dan Bongino had a podcast. He had a radio show. And now he's the deputy of the director of the FBI. And I think what he's starting to realize is that while America may have an expiration date, podcasting is forever. So he's protecting his future career as a podcaster. I'm not kidding. This is not a comedic bit. He genuinely is going, I want to come out of this administration and go back to a fun job like podcasting. I don't want to be the deputy director of the FBI and cover up child sex scandals all day. I want to read ads for Blue Chew and from my house. It's a good gig, this podcasting. It's not bad. Hard to complain about. Yes, there's a good amount of it happening all the time. You got to do it every week. But I think Dan Bongino's going, I don't want to be around these people. I don't want to be near these people. I didn't sign up for this. I don't know Dan Bongino at all. I've never done his show. I've never been in the same room with him. But I imagine he's saying to himself, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to be part of this cover-up. I want out. So he's leaking stuff to the media about Epstein, and other members of the administration are essentially telling him to shut up. But I don't think he will. I think he wants very, very badly to go back to podcasting. I don't think he wants to be the deputy director of the FBI. He goes, that's not fun. I don't want to do that. I want to go back to doing my show. Let me do my goddamn show. I want out. This is the whole thing. He doesn't want to be part of this. All of these people are about to turn on each other in a very public way. You can see this coming from a mile away. Everybody's, even in that sphere of people on the internet that aren't working at the White House, are starting to get in little fights. The people in the White House are going to start to rip each other's throats out over this. This is kind of Trump's MO. He gets a bunch of people together, and it's battle royale, and he watches them tear each other's spines out. He gets off on that. He likes that. He's an older man. He likes it. He likes watching the people in his White House rip the skin off each other's faces. It's the ultimate reality show. He brings Laura Loomer up there. He fires somebody because Laura Loomer has identified something about them that is a problem, and he should watch out for. And maybe she's right, and maybe she made it up, and who knows, and who cares? But he goes, "You're fired." He calls them up, and he goes, "You're out of here." And they're gone. It sends a chill through Washington. They go, "Wow, another scalp. Loomer's got another scalp." And then he just sets all these people on each other. He sets Susie Wiles on Bondi and Patel. He goes, fight it out. Rip each other's spines out. And he sits there and he watches. He likes it. It's fun for him. It's fun for him because it is what he's always kind of done. This is his MO. Trump very much believes that all things are to please the king. He believes that. All things are to please the king. And if he's bored, or if he's covering up an international child sex trafficking scandal, or if he's running cover for Netanyahu and Adelson and Israel and whatever they're doing, it's fun to just divert attention to the king's court, and everybody, we're having a duel. We're going to joust. We're going to watch everybody tear each other's face off because that's what he does, what he wants. He likes this. He doesn't dislike it. And he doesn't want to avoid it. It's what is taking the eyeballs off of Israel's indefinite occupation of Gaza, the fact that he has now claimed that Epstein did nothing happened. Ghislaine Maxwell moved to a minimum security prison after she said to Todd Blanche he didn't do anything wrong. Todd Blanche is Trump's attorney general. He met with Todd Blanche. It was a meeting with Todd Blanche before he went to go see Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell is now in Club Fed. But instead of that, he's walking on the roof of the White House. Don Jr.'s got memes of him with the dildo. They're trying to get in fights. What's Sydney Sweeney doing? It's all about trying to run cover. And if you watch it, it's actually quite interesting the way they're choosing to do it. Now they go, let's get a reality show going. Who's in, who's out? Who hates who? Who's blaming who? Let's watch them fight because it takes attention off what's actually happening. I don't know if Bongino's leaking stuff or not. If he is, they've got a problem on their hands. Reportedly, somebody wanted to talk to Rogan. I read about this, too. That's going to be a bad idea for them because Rogan's going to sit there and ask some questions for 2 hours. And when Kesh Patel went on Rogan, it was a bad idea because Kesh Patel looked like he was covering something up. So whoever goes on Rogan will most likely look like they're covering something up. All right, folks, listen up. Let's talk about the extra car that you've got, the one taking up space in your driveway like it's paying rent. Maybe it's a few years back. Maybe you upgraded. Maybe it's just not getting used. Either way, it's just sitting there, not making any money, not sparking joy, just existing. You know what you could do? Donate it, seriously. 1-877-CARS for kids. 1-877-CARS for kids. 1-877-CARS for kids. Donate your car today. Yeah, that little tune that's been bouncing around in your head for 2 decades, time to put it to good use. Cars for Kids makes it ridiculously easy to donate your car. No paperwork madness, no DMV nightmares. They tow it for free, pick it up fast, and boom, you've just done a good thing, a real tax deduction, and you're helping kids in need. These guys have been doing this for over 30 years and have processed over 1 million cars. This is legit. Call 1-877-CARS for Kids or go to carsforkids.com. That's K-A-R-S with a K. It's fast, it's easy, it's impactful. Still not sure? Just hum the jingle. 1-877-CARS for Kids. You can't resist. Donate your car today. Donate your car today. Your unused car will thank you. And I'm thinking about all of this morning. I happened to be in Los Angeles. And I thought about some of it last night. And I was driving and I was saying to myself, are there people, for example, the Curtis Yarvin tech people, the big money players, Thiel, not only him, but others, that whole sphere, the Zuckerberg, the Tim Cook, people like that. Do these people want Trump to outlive his usefulness to them? We're watching a coup, essentially, where Trump has been given a lot of money by these tech people to essentially allow them to take over the government. And I think Elon Musk, and again, this is my own theory, I think Elon Musk, you got Tim Cook in there again, giving him a golden apple. He knows what Trump likes. They're all showing up. Look how creepy this is. They're all kind of showing up. Again, all things are to please the king. Here's a gift.
Comes off the Corning line.
Yeah.
It's engraved for President Trump.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, nice.
Unit of one.
Giving him a nice little plaque.
All
right. All things, obviously, to please the king. They wanted and needed him to open up the bank for them. He did. Sam Altman, these people. I believe Elon Musk was a little bit of a trial balloon. I think there were probably people that thought Elon Musk was going to be more popular than he was. Remember, as smart as some of these people are in their field, they're completely hopeless when it comes to social intelligence. They think Elon Musk is the coolest guy ever. They don't understand how cringe it is to a lot of people. I think there was an expectation amongst these Silicon Valley types that Elon Musk was going to be a lot more popular with the American public than he was. And that Donald Trump was going to kind of let Elon Musk run the country. I think Elon Musk was under that impression. Elon Musk got in there and he didn't look like he was there for a limited amount of time. He was digging in. I think he wanted that DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, to be a permanent thing. I mean, they all say now that it was never intended to be permanent, but it could have grown into something permanent. I don't think too many people get into the White House and want to leave. Musk had all that power, and then there was this huge falling out. Musk thought it was going to be more than it was. This is why he started challenging Trump. Musk knew Trump was going to pass a bill that Musk didn't like. Trump didn't run on being a starve the beast conservative, and that he was going to eliminate government spending. I mean, that became a theme after he won, but Trump ran on the idea that he was going to bring back an era of American exuberance, which would require spending a lot of money. He ran on enforcing immigration and enforcing new tariffs and bringing back work to the country all of that takes money. It doesn't seem to anybody that Trump ran on slashing taxes, shrinking government. Those weren't the primary components of Trump's appeal. He was an economic nationalist. He was a populist. Elon Musk knew that. I think the reason that Elon Musk started flipping out was because Elon Musk realized that he was going to then spend the rest of Trump's term on the outside. And I don't think that was the plan. I think a lot of people want the country governed by, and I don't mean a lot of people a lot of people in America. I mean of the small group of people that gave Trump a lot of money. They want the president of the United States to be a symbol only. They want the president of the United States to be a symbol only. In the same way that elements of the intelligence community or business leaders have always wanted the president of the United States to be a symbolic position, and that they wanted to pull the strings behind the scenes, tech people are now doing the same thing. They want to take over. They want to put AI that they've programmed in charge of a lot of decisions. They want to get rid of a lot of the government, And they want the president of the United States to be essentially a puppet. Now, here's the question. Where is Trump mentally? Where is he mentally? Is this guy aware of that? Was he aware of that? It seems like that was the plan. He's not stupid. He has a guttural political instinct. He looks at the people around him, and I've often said a lot of people think they're using him. He's usually using them, and they don't know it. But the tech people clearly are going to eventually realize that the Republican Party brand is going to be damaged, not only by Epstein, but by all of the things that have now become a mess. The ICE raids have become a mess. People are not on board with ripping fathers away from their children at high school graduations that have committed no crimes. It's become a mess. Dumping people off Medicare and then giving all the money to Israel and the Ukraine has become a mess. And it's the exact opposite of what he ran on. It's the exact opposite. So the tech people are not stupid, but they don't care because they got what they wanted, which was the money. They wanted the money. So they helped him win. And they gave him the money, and they gave him, deference, and they allowed the king to be the king. Washington Post and Trump's Washington, Palantir is winning big. From war fighting and tracking deportations to writing State Department cables with AI, the company is benefiting from a new technology-driven, cost-cutting ethos in government. So the Make America Great Again people are slowly waking up to the idea that the administration has been...
They told my brother, there's no one else I'd rather be with on a Saturday night than you, no homo. What's up, lad? We made it, man. We're doing it. We're doing the weightlifting, my brother.
People who do not believe in America as a nation state, people who don't believe in the Constitution, people who don't believe in privacy, people who believe in endless surveillance, are the people in the MAGA tent that are now trying to apply pressure to the machinery of government and have applied pressure. At what point is Trump useless and do they turn on him? How weak does he have to get before they turn? I don't know. These are all questions. I've been thinking about these things. Did they think Trump was going to hand the government to Elon Musk? I'm not saying the tech community is a monolith. There's people in the tech community that hate each other. Great. Who cares? People in the CIA that hate each other too. Guess what? They all get together on some things. There's rich people that hate each other, but they all agree on some things. Fortune 500 CEOs may be competing, fucking each other's wives, whatever. But when it all comes down to it, there's a few principles they heartily agree. And I think with tech, you would find that to be the case. With Elon and Sam, they hate each other. And he hates him, and he sucks, and they suck. But at the end of the day, they both don't believe in the American government to regulate their industries. They don't believe in the American government, and they don't believe that the Bill of Rights or the Constitution should get in the way of whatever the hell they want to do. Palantir, the software and data analytics company, has garnered at least $300 million in new and expanded business since Trump took office for his second term, helping to make it the S&P's top performing stock of 2025. In May, Pentagon leaders allocated up to $795 million more to the military's core artificial intelligence software program. Yay! Doesn't that sound good? At the Department of Homeland Security, immigration officials reversed earlier plans to ditch some of the company's services when their superiors awarded Palantir a $30 million contract this spring to track immigration enforcement. AI replaces people. These guys program the AI. The politicians become not only puppets, they become actors. Puppets you at least have to control with a marionette. You gotta blackmail some of them, bribe some of them, feed the egos of some of them. It's a very imperfect system, and parts of it are evil. But now imagine they're not even puppets, they're actors. They're literally hired actors who are just giving a human face to the beast behind the scenes. And it's hard to now look at the Trump administration as any other thing other than a veil for this. A veil for the AI takeover of government and a veil for the tech revolution to take over American life. To put everyone, as Catherine Austin Fitts said, on a digital control grid. This seems to be what it is. I don't know how you can look at it another way. I'm sure there are other ways to look at it. I'm sure there's lots of hopeful people that look at it very differently. Maybe they're all privy to things I don't know, but from the outside, it very much seems that, and I'm not a Luddite. I don't believe that, I'm not trying to, I don't want to live with the Amish. I understand that China has AI and we need to have AI and all of this stuff. I understand all of that. I'm not completely, against technology at all. It's made my life much better. I can do this show. I can make a living. What I am against is people who do not make their intentions clear and launder their goals into some populist movement where Americans were going like, hey, we need a border, we need jobs, we need our own communities to look better, and then have the heads of Palantir and Meta and Google say, that sounds great, here's how we think that can happen. And they're not trying to do any of that. They don't care about any of that. They're not trying to do any of that. They're trying to realize their vision of what a future America looks like. The government is inefficient. They want to get rid of it. Human beings are inefficient. They want to get rid of them. Peter Thiel, do you think the human race should survive? Maybe. They're pretty clear if you listen to them. But what they've done is they've laundered this message. That's why Mark Zuckerberg's on Rogan talking about jujitsu and stuff. They're trying to, and they think, well, Elon, I guess he's cool, right? He's got rockets. We'll put him in the White House. He'll be on Twitter all the time. What do these people really want? And that Biden's going to run in 2028, and, he's hopeless. It's just a collapsing brand, and very quickly. But Trump is going to do what he always does, which is set the dogs of war on each other. That's what he does. That's how he's planning to ride this out. That's how he's planning to ride this out. And then the weakest one, they will pin this on. Whoever emerges weakest, whoever gets bloodied in the media bad enough, whoever they can turn people on with leaks, awkward interviews, then they will try to get rid of that person. But unless they release everything they have on Epstein, and unless Ghislaine testifies, they are part now of the biggest and most evil cover-up in human history that we know about, by the way. There were probably others. They can't get away from that no matter how much real-world road rules, fucking Real Housewives, Basketball Wives drama they want to create at the White House. It's simply not going to work. You can give everyone a Labubu, and people are still going to remember what's happening. We kicked summer off with the Chef IQ Sense Flash Sale, the smart cooking sensor that tells you whenever your cooking is cooked to perfection. It works way better than old school meat thermometers. You can still get flash sale pricing on Chef IQ Sense. The new flashier flash sale is on the brand new Chef IQ Mini Oven. It's a next generation smart convection oven that sits beautifully on your countertop. Replaces that old air fryer that doesn't do anything very well. I love the mini oven. It's amazing. It fries chicken that tastes like takeout, except way healthier. It bakes pizza, it grills steaks, it bakes bread, it cooks bacon. It even comes with an egg tray and it bakes cakes and muffins. So moist you think they'll come from a bakery. Best of all, your IQ mini oven connects to your smartphone app. Set it to whatever you're cooking. Your phone tells you when it's done to perfection. It also pairs perfectly with your Chef IQ Sense. Now that's smart. This is great. People have tiny apartments, even big houses. It doesn't matter. This is such a great compact machine that makes everything you need at home. It's so smart, so healthy, so good. It also pairs perfectly with your Chef IQ Sense so that you know that the thing you're eating is cooked. It's so important. Visit chefiq.com and use promo code TIMD. Again, that's chefiq.com, promo code TIMD, T-I-M-D. People are buying $8,000 lifelike baby dolls in a weird new trend. Let's move on from the Labubu to the real baby doll that people are buying. Best case, these dolls were introduced so that women who had lost a child or felt some weird way in postpartum, which I don't know much about, could heal their trauma with this baby. This is an article in the Times or the Wall Street Journal. Always the Journal. Always demoralizing over at the Wall Street Journal. Kelly Maple tenderly sets her bundle of joy, Naomi, into a Nuna car seat and drives her to the mall. When they arrive, Maple, 23, places little Naomi, dressed in a onesie and a hair bow, into a high-end stroller, complete with portable sound machine, stuffed animal, and pacifier. Giggling, Maple and Naomi shop for tiny clothes. Most passerbys would mistake them for a typical mother and daughter. But Naomi is not real. She's a lifelike, quote, reborn doll. These collectible baby dolls, which can run up to $10,000 a piece, have been around since the early 2000s, but in recent years, they've exploded into a global phenomenon. Collectors who consider themselves parents shell out for luxury baby gear and dote on their reborns as if they were human children. In Brazil, they've become a lightning rod in recent months, with politicians introducing bills to try and ban the popular doll from public places. The reborn doll world is hidden in plain sight in the United States. It's a cottage industry with amateur crafters hand molding and painting dolls in their basements. The process, especially for the more I know verisimilitude, but this is an interesting verisimilitudinous silicone dolls, is labor intensive, including painting delicate pale blue veins on their soft peachy skin. How sick, how disturbed, how strange, how creepy. Oh my God, how creepy that is. It's so creepy. I don't know what to say other than it feels like we're heading down a bad road. Again, I know that's a well-worn theme of this program, but it feels like we're heading down a bad road. I don't know, is it good that adults are walking around with dolls they call reborns that are fake babies and pushing them around in strollers? Is that good? Is that a good development? Is it a positive development that adults are walking around with fake children that they are taking shopping in America's malls? I don't know. Feels bad. Feels not good. Feels like it's going to a creepy, weird place. Detractors find the dolls creepy, and some owners say they are taunted by families and online bullies. What these critics misunderstand, collectors say, is the therapeutic potential of the dolls. Women who have lost babies or experienced miscarriages are comforted by the reborns. The dolls can also soothe women with PTSD, Alzheimer's, dementia, and autism. Britney Spears, who said she had a miscarriage, has been seen carrying a doll. Well, that's a good advertisement. Good advertisement for them. Some women are fanatic collectors, amassing dozens, if not hundreds of dolls and posting online videos of diaper changes and trips to the park. Hey, it's weird. It's really weird. It's really weird, and I think it's deeply haunted. And I think that there's obviously a place for something like that to people that have extreme PTSD or who have lost a child. But that's not everybody who's buying these things. People like the social capital of having a baby without actually having a baby. They're like walking around with a baby in a stroller. They're trying to LARP as a mother or a father or whatever. There's something deeply strange and off-putting about this behavior. And I think it's, it's like, we're gonna look back 10 years from now and go, what were people doing right before the metaverse, before everybody plugged in? And they go, oh, they were walking around with fake babies in New York City. They had dolls. And it's gonna be like, oh, well, yeah, I guess this is better. I guess this is better. I guess this metaverse is better. What were people doing right before the digital police state? Well, they were pushing dolls around and they were collecting little Chinese demon trolls. Oh, well, this is better, I guess. Can we watch a little bit of this, or are we going to get dinged on YouTube? Okay.
You guys keep asking me to do a collection update video, so that's what we're going to do today. Basically,
Yes.
I'm just going to show you guys the dolls that are in my reborn collection.
Thank you.
And I will talk a little bit about what kit they are,
Thank
who
you.
made them.
Yes.
Yeah, so I tend to do these videos like every once in a while because you guys are curious who is in my collection. I used to change it up a lot, but honestly, I've been really happy with my collection and haven't changed it too much recently, so I don't know. Maybe which is like my personal favorite size to collect. I've had Naomi since December of 2018, so I've had her for a long time
This is the
now.
girl from the article.
And I
that's
just love
Naomi.
her so much. Naomi is the full.
Here's the thing, ready? You know this is happening. You know this. You know she's getting a call going, I don't want you bringing Naomi to Thanksgiving this year. Kelly, I'm your mother. Kelly, I'm asking you to not bring Naomi to Thanksgiving this year. Your brother, it makes your brother and your father and me upset. Kelly, it makes us upset. I'm not saying I hate Naomi. And of course, well, Kelly, Naomi's not going to be alone. She's a doll. She's not alive. What do you mean you're not coming if you can't bring Naomi? Kelly, do not bring Naomi to that. Do not show up with Naomi. Do not bring her.
About her. So Naomi here is a prototype version, obviously. And she was painted by Christy Carwithin, and she was rooted by Jillian J. DeSicco. I love this baby so much. She's just perfect. I cannot see myself ever parting with her. I love her so, so much. And yeah, like I said, she's full body silicone, so she's entirely silicone, and she has a ball jointed head.
It's so creepy. All right, it's creeping me out. It creeps me out just even watching it. It creeps me out just watching it. I don't like it. But I can't articulate exactly why. I think I have. I think I've articulated it. I think I've articulated it as clear as I can. Something is deeply unsettling about playing dress up or playing pretend as an adult. One of the things that I find the most disturbing in our current society is that people are playing pretend as adults. They do not accept any reality that they do not like. So they invent a reality that they feel more comfortable in that bears no resemblance to the world that most of us are living in. That's a big issue for me. I don't love that. That's not one of my favorite things about the time that we're in now. I don't think walking around, this is another one, but I don't think walking around with a fake baby is good. Laughing at life is easier when you actually feel good. Between processed foods, environmental toxins, and the stress of just existing in today's world, feeling run down has become the norm, but your body wasn't meant to feel this way. Armor colostrum is nature's original superfood. Packed with over 400 bioactive ingredients that fortify gut health, supercharge immunity, fuel stamina, revitalize hair growth, and help you function at your best once again, because keeping up with the chaos of modern life is a lot more fun when you have the energy to do it. We've worked out a special offer for my audience. Receive 30% off your first subscription order. Go to armor.com/Tim or enter TIM to get 30% off your first subscription order. Everyone I know is on this, and it's great. ARMRA.com/Tim. It's so good when you get it. It keeps your mind clear, fortifies your gut health, you're sharp. It helps me do the show. It helps many people I know perform the functions of their life at a high level. Ain't it great? That's ARMRA.com/TIM. It's the summer. Things are going to happen. Accidents happen. That's why you need to make sure that you are protected. In the unfortunate event of an accident happening to you, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest personal injury law firm, they have over 1,000 attorneys nationwide. They're here to help you get back on your feet and get your summer back on track. They've recovered over $25 billion for their clients nationwide, and they don't back down when it matters most. One recent client received $29 million after being offered just $500,000. Another was awarded $20 million after getting a $0 offer. There's a reason why they're America's largest injury law firm. Hiring the wrong firm could be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. If you've been hurt this summer, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. It's free unless they win. Just click the link in the description below, forthepeople.com/Tim. That's forthepeople.com/Tim. Click the link in the description below. This is a paid advertisement. And since we're in the summer, we'll talk about this. CBS is now saying, and they're doing this, and again, CBS is mainstream. Obviously, it's CBS. They're coming out and they're going, adult summer camps see surge of interest as people seek community and nostalgia. And you might say to me, Tim, don't you always talk about the importance of community? Don't you always talk about that people need a community? Yes. Well, then shouldn't they go to a summer camp? As adults, what the hell's wrong with that? A lot. I'm glad you asked. A lot is wrong with that. A lot. Multiple things. Lots of things are wrong with it. Well, why shouldn't they go to a summer camp and have fun with other people? They're adults. They're adults. You don't go to fucking camp. That's it. There's other ways to build community outside of pretending to be in a fucking camp as an adult. Put the fake baby away, you sick fuck. Nobody wants to be in a community with a psychopath who's in a summer camp with a fake baby. It's nuts. This is the reason they're not in communities, is because they keep doing this horse shit. That's the reason they're not in one, is because they're fucking going to summer camp with a fake baby. That's the problem. Or is it community good? Yeah, community's great, but not this way. Pedophiles are community. That's not good. Meth addicts are community. That's not ideal. Not all communities are good. A bunch of people at a summer. Let's watch this. How sick this is, by the way. Well, let's watch. Can we watch the CBS thing? Yeah. Let's watch this. This is sick. This is maybe more disturbing than the fake baby go.
All right, for many families, summer's all about camp, right? But who says only kids can have the fun? Well, Yelp reports that there is a 350% increase in searches for adult summer camps this year as people look for community and nostalgia. And as Nancy Chen shows us, plenty of both can be found at camps around the country.
With zip lines, archery, and bunking up in log cabins, there are all the hallmarks of your child's favorite summer camp. Except, this one is for the grown-ups. Welcome to summer at Club Getaway in Kent, Connecticut, where campers 21 and up
bomb
get together every weekend.
Netanyahu, bomb it! Israel, bomb it!
Kid again.
What are you looking forward to most? Meeting some people in like kickball or like tug of war, something like that.
Shamia Briscoe is one of many who came to camp to leave all her responsibility behind and instead bring out her inner child.
the nostalgia of it, right? Like I did overnight camps when I was younger, and I remember like going
that's
out on
it.
the water,
That's it.
going rock climbing, and I was like, why not do that with some alcohol?
So what's really cool is that all the activities are planned for you.
All right, I guess we're doing this thing. Activities that aren't always for the faint of heart.
Is this safe?
Stop it for a minute. The American media is trying to destroy your mind. I mean, the American media is presenting this as something normal. It is very sick. The American media is presenting going to an adult summer camp as a normal activity. I don't care if it's this or Bohemian Grove. I think it's all wrong. This is fucked up. Let me articulate this in a way that people can understand. You have stages to your life. You are young. You will never do all the things that young people do. You cannot. It is impossible. Because the experiences of young people are varied. You see? There are young people that attend camp. There are young people that went to the prom. There are young people that will never go to a prom. See Gaza. There are young people that are never going to win a Little League championship. There are young people that are never going to have their mother and father there at their high school graduation. There are young people that for whatever reason are not going to have the experiences that young people, that we tend to associate with being young. That is part of life. Accepting that is a big part of life. Accepting what you get and what you don't get and making a life from that place is a big part of life. Having do-overs and trying to recapture a feeling or trying to discover a feeling you never had in this way, paying to go to a place to try to feel something that you felt as a child and need again, for whatever reason. This is my big issue with Disney World and Disney adults. They're incapable of accepting the reality of life, and that is that you cannot stay a fucking child. You have to grow up. And if you're lucky, you become an adult. Then you become middle-aged, and then you become an elderly person, and then you die. That is the cycle of life. You cannot, and I'm not saying you can't do things young people do to stay young. I'm saying you cannot go to an adult summer camp and you cannot walk around with a fake baby. Unless you're a child. If you're a child and you have a doll, that's one thing. You cannot walk around with a realistic baby and then pretend to change its diaper and feed it at a family party. Something is wrong. See someone. See someone now. See someone now. Oh, we're going to the adult summer camp. Oh, it's actually super fun. All the events are planned for you. And it's actually really cool because we do it with alcohol. It's like canoeing and fun. But hey, I want you to go to a hospital. I care about you and I want you to go to a hospital. Now. Look at me. Well, no, you're freaking out. It's actually just kind of like a fun thing. Super nostalgic. You meet some cool people. I want you to go to a hospital now. Get in the ambulance. Get in the ambulance now. You're not going to a summer camp. You're 38 years old. You're not going back to college, and you're not getting a fake baby. It's not happening. Christ almighty. It's one of the things that is the least, anything you want to say about American culture are myriad of problems. I know I use that word too much, but it's a great word. The issues we have, the hollowness, the consumerism, the materialism, the emptiness, the dishonesty, the grift, the graft, the evil lurking around every corner, people taking advantage of others, the rotten and poisoned food system, the drug dealers. We get it, how bad it all is. We should make a pact that we're adults, that we're not going to escape these problems into a Narnia fantasy land and pretend to be children. That is a fate worse than death. We cannot do it. We cannot do it. It is something that cannot happen. We must face these challenges as adults. We cannot go to Disney World childless and go on the rides. We cannot go to the camp. You cannot get the fake baby. I'm sorry. This is crazy. I mean, this is absolutely insane. Let's watch a little bit more of this before I have a stroke.
Stop watching on. Oh, yeah. I don't remember actually agreeing to do this.
Hi.
Okay. I was good. Sorry I screamed.
So this is where it starts, right here. The first activity that we're going to do is our Welcome to Camp party.
David Schreiber is the camp's owner.
Why do you think people come here?
They're sick.
I think people come here for an experience. They
They're
want to
sick.
meet new people. They want to try different things.
They're sick.
And feel part of a community.
They should
just
go to the
for a
hospital.
short period of time.
They should go to a
Open
hospital.
to children during the week,
They
Club
should go to a
Getaway has been
hospital
welcoming adults
and be
for nearly
restrained
50 years.
on a bed.
It wasn't until recently that programs doubled.
They should be
as
restrained.
interest spiked.
Do you find that the popularity of summer camps for adults right now is tied to people wanting to seek a simpler time?
Yes, 100%. You know, things are complicated right now. There is a simplicity that comes here, right? There's sort of a depth in the superficiality.
We'll take the restraints off when you're better. We will take the restraints off when you're better. All right, get this out of here. Look at that disgustingness. Look at this. Get this out of here. We will take the restraints off when you're better. If you commit to getting better, we're going to help you get better. We'll take these restraints off. These people should be restrained. That they should all be put on that bus, and instead of going to the camp, the bus should pull over and they should be taken out. And at gunpoint, they should be put in straitjackets. They should be put in straitjackets and put into an institution, by the way. That's exactly how I would run. That's what ICE would do. If I ran this country, ICE would be, they wouldn't be grabbing busboys. They'd be tasked with putting these people in straitjackets and putting them in an institution and getting to the bottom of this crap. You're not going to experience everything on earth, you narcissist. You don't get everything. There are people that are not going to have the things. I'm sorry about that. It is a deep narcissism. It is not a search for community. It is not this bullshit. It is a deep and unrelenting narcissistic personality type that demands that they have every experience on earth at all times. There is a time for all things. Someone said that, I don't know who, and I don't care. But the point is this. It is a deep commitment to worshiping the cult and the church of self to say, I'm going to be a child again at summer camp. I'm going to get drunk and put whipped cream in my mouth and like a degenerate. And I'm going to do this slip and slide. What do you call that fucking thing? It's a slip and slide, right? Yeah. I'm going to get drunk and do a slip and slide and get in a canoe after I take Jell-O shots. I'm a degenerate. I'm a degenerate and I should be in a straitjacket. I have tattoos all over my body because I'm an animal degenerate and I should be in a straitjacket. But instead I have, my mother fell down the stairs, so I'm taking her inheritance and going to summer camp when I should be paying for my straitjacket. I should get a bill for my straitjacket and I should never be let out. I should never be let out of my straitjacket because if I am, I'm going to use my arms to sign myself up for adult summer camp or, God help us, get a fake baby and wheel it around New York City. I should be in a mental institution. I should be in a place where my days play. Hey, well, what's good is the activities they're planned for you. You know where they're also planned for you? In a mental institution. My mother was in one. We planned her day, and it wasn't called summer camp. We called it the hatch, the booby hatch. You're going into the hatch. I'm telling you, ICE should not be building alligator Alcatraz. We should be building mental institutions to forcibly commit people. And it's not going to be the people you think. It's not going to be the people in New York City foaming at the mouth, screaming about the Bilderberg Group. Those people are right. It's not going to be them. It's going to be these freaks who are doing zip lines at 38 drunk at the fucking adult summer camp. They're going in. It's not going to be the people screaming about the Rothschilds and the fucking Anunnaki. It's going to be the people at adult summer camp that are going to be going in to a facility. You're going into a facility. Well, it's really cool because your day is planned for you and like, it's, you know, I had camp as a kid, now I'm at camp again. No, you're not. You're going to jail. It is a sick thing. It is a sick thing. Even though they're evil, they keep me safe. I want to name them. I'm trying to name these two. I'm going to call one of them Israel and the other one Gaza. These are my labubus, Israel and Gaza. And they fight. Hopefully they figure that out, huh? What's going on over there? They're going to annex the whole thing. We're out of time now. We'll get to that later, maybe on the Patreon or next week. Watch out for Bongino going rogue in the Trump world. Watch out for this. This is obviously, I'm not breaking news. It's being reported everywhere. But I am contextualizing, I believe, what they think they're doing. What they think they're doing is pivoting everybody to watch a reality show whilst they ignore a lot of the calls to release this stuff. That's what I think is happening. I would guarantee it's happening. And I would watch that. This is something important to know when you're being played, I think. I think we're all getting played a little bit. Recession this year, they say it's coming. Maybe if you go to Kalshi.com, let's bet. How about we bet on a recession? Make money from the recession. Someone's gonna. Someone always does. I love Kalshi because you can really fuck around and set up your own markets. I'm not into sports, so I don't bet on sports. But I like coming up with markets like, will there be a recession this year? How many people are going to get it this year? Is Israel going to occupy Gaza? Will Trump serve out the rest of his term? That's an interesting one with these tech. I just don't know. Do they want Vance in there as opposed to Trump? See, the thing with the Yarvin types, they haven't found the guy. Trump's not the guy. What they want, they don't want, like I thought, like, oh, they want this charismatic guy, but I don't think they want that. I think they actually just want a boring actor. I think they want a boring actor who will just get up there and do whatever they want. Trump commands a large following, but he's a little too volatile for their purposes. I think they just want a boring, empty suit, and they're going to get one. Some type of Manchurian candidate. But they've used Trump. And they're going to continue to use him until they feel his brand is damaged, and then they're going to jump and try to use someone else. I don't know who that will be. Certainly could be Vance, but they might go to somebody else. I don't know, but they are the power to watch behind the throne. They want this government run by tech oligarchs who have only the interests of that community, and they're going to say their interests are all of our interests. That's what they're going to say. But of course, they're wrong. Who will leave the Trump administration this year? Who will go? I don't know. My money's on Bongino. I think Bongino's going to go. I think Bongino's going to go and come back to the world of podcasting. That's my guess. That's my thought. I don't know. I don't know. If he goes to an adult summer camp, if Dan Bongino leaves the Trump administration and goes to an adult summer camp, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Summer's over already. Did you notice that, by the way? It's like August fucking whatever, and summer's over? What is that? Summer goes to late September. Kids should go back to school in September 9th or 10th, and then September 11th, we sit them down and we go, and look what happened. That's what should start school, It's 9/11. You go back a few days after Labor Day and you sit there and you watch those planes go in. Every kid, you watch those planes go in. That was the beginning of our year. Of course, it was at the actual time that it happened. It was not a remembrance. It was the actual one. But that's what every kid should start their year every year with 9/11. School starts with 9/11, and then it progresses to Halloween. That's what should happen, god damn it. So head on over to Kalshi and bet on some shit. Well, keep watching. The Clintons are subpoenaed. A lot of stuff's going to happen. It's clear that Trump has set up this reality show to see who is going to get pilloried and then removed. He does this all the time. He's doing it again. Let's see what happens. They do not have control of this story. They don't have control of the narrative. It's spinning out of control. And it's always interesting when something is spinning out of control, how they try to bring it back within their thing. And I think what they're trying to do is say, look, it's actually a reality show. Who fucked up? Who did it? Who done it? And it's like, no. We see what you're doing. It's a game of 3-card Monte. And I think a lot of people now, the jig is up. The jig is up. Now, of course, we have to end with this ad, which is awkward. The Tim Dillon Show is sponsored by Palantir. Palantir, a brighter future is ahead. Palantir is here to help government and people exist together. Look at your neighbors. Do you love them? Well, you'll love them even more with Palantir. You'll know everything about them and you. Palantir will get involved in your communities and make them safer and stronger. God, we love Palantir. Alex Karp and Peter Thiel are proud to support the Tim Dillon Show. Are you concerned that Israel's rockets are not reaching their intended targets? Is that one of your big concerns? Here at the Tim Dillon Show, we want to remind you that Palantir is building a machinery that makes Israeli rockets efficiently fire at their Palestinian targets. Thank you, Alex Karp and Peter Thiel at Palantir, for sponsoring the show. Are you concerned that your Labubu has a listening device in it? We want to remind you that Palantir doesn't know anything about that. They have no idea about it. They just don't know about it. We don't know about it. Ah!
One of the most important scientific controversies of our time involves the events at the end of the Great Ice Age. More specifically, a remarkable period of time called the Younger Dryas, a period of extreme spasmodic climate swings, the annihilation of megafaunal species worldwide, the sudden disappearance of the North American Clovis culture, major disruptions to human settlement patterns around the globe, all preceded by giant floods and rapid sea level rise. These are the pieces of a puzzle that doesn't fit into the standard model, unless there is a trigger mechanism. What caused all these notable changes in the homeostasis of our global system? In those orthodox models, these data points have no common cause or unifying connection. The fact that they are all happening more or less simultaneously is seen as simply coincidental. So let's continue discussing the model that unifies these issues with a single causal link. Join me today as we square the circle on the history of the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis and dig into the evidence for extraterrestrial impacts into an ancient ice age world. Well, here we are again. I'm Randall Carlson, and we're going to continue this really interesting and important discussion about events that occurred at the end of the last ice age. Events that have probably been the most profound in their effect on the human species and the rise and fall of human civilization since we modern Homo sapiens sapiens first began to occupy this planet something like a couple of 100,000 years ago. And in this discussion and quest, I'm going to be joined once again by my friend and colleague, John Arthur. So if there he is.
Howdy, howdy.
In the wings, also our producer, fact checker, co-researcher. I'm sure we could come up with some other labels for him, but I don't know if we would want to express that in polite company, so we'll not do that here. But in any case, hello, John.
Best. Howdy, Randall.
Howdy. So, the Younger Dryas. When did you first, can you recall in your life when you first became aware of the Younger Dryas?
Well, so I really come from an evangelical background. And so all of this body of evidence is something that, you know, those who are in young earth creation science, those who follow that hypothesis, there's a lot of shared evidence that we all are looking at, and something doesn't fit the model. But in the last few years, I've become more and more familiar with the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, and it's only been in the last 2 to 3 years. So it's picking up a lot of traction, and it's a very interesting model, one that's much better than the status quo.
Absolutely. I definitely agree on that. I would have to say I first became aware of it probably a little bit before you. I'm guessing probably the late 1980s.
When you say before you really do mean before you, John Arthur. I'm a 94, baby.
Oh, so you weren't even in the world. My God, it's hard for me to conceive of, but it's the 94. So yeah, I'm thinking the late 80s, the early 90s. I could easily look here and see just in my presentation that I think we looked at the last couple of episodes. We were certainly a decade or two in front of the famous 2007 paper by Richard Firestone, James Kennett, Alan West, and others. So anyways, we're kind of moving on. It wouldn't hurt to refer back to that paper because they really did lay out the argument. And that was mostly the focus of the attacks on the part of those who were committed to discrediting the idea. They did not want to open the doors to something from outer space, basically. They didn't want that. Well, we've learned a lot since 2007, and there's been a bunch of new studies that have extended the geographic range of this phenomena probably to at least half the world, half the globe now, maybe more than that. Within let's see, with this recent discovery in Siberia, we may have pushed it even further east than it had been. Discoveries in Europe. I think there's now even a discovery from a few years ago in Antarctica, which we'll look at as well, and to see if that is substantial enough to accept it as a proxy for a Younger Dryas event. But if it turned out to be the case that we have YD boundary proxies in the Antarctica, well, we're clearly dealing with a global event at that point, I would have to think. So we have a few papers that I think are very interesting and important in the history of the studies of the Younger Dryas. We're going to look at, over the next couple of episodes where we're unpacking all of this research on the Younger Dryas, we're going to look at a lot of what the critics have said as well, because you need to look at both sides of a controversy or an argument. Now, I've done that, and I've done that quite extensively, and I want to share that with people because there have been legitimate questions raised by the critics. Don't doubt that for a second. I think, however, though, the proponents of the ET hypothesis have done an admirable job of addressing those questions and criticisms posed by the skeptics of the whole idea. And I think we could also show that the initial response of the skeptics or the critics, in a lot of senses, was not really fair. It was more. There was a lot more of what we don't like in pure science because there were ad hominem attacks. There were straw men that were meticulously constructed and then torn apart. There were red herrings galore, bringing in things that weren't really relevant to the question at hand. I'll give you an example. One of the main red herrings is, and of course, ultimately, it's something you would want to factor in to the totality of your understanding, and that is a crater, an impact site, right? That has been one of the ongoing criticisms. Well, in some ways, it has echoes of the critics of J. Harlan Brett's back in the 20s and 30s. Well, if you can't come up with an explanation for these gigantic floods that you're talking about, well, sorry, we can't buy it. You know, your floods, if you can't explain those floods, invoke and describe some kind of cause, well, they didn't happen. That was basically the attitude. Well, here it's kind of similar. When you've got the proxy evidence, right? You've got nanodiamonds, you've got microspherules, you've got the platinum group metals, you've got melt glass, you've got a lot of this stuff, and we're going to be exploring some of that in this episode, right? Well, okay, we need an explanation for that. Now, one explanation that seems to fit the evidence more effectively than any other alternative explanations is some type of a cosmic impact. And I say some type because there are anomalies about the evidence that need to be explained. That a simplified model of some kind
Yo,
of
big Sash, we're doing it, man. We're lifting the weights in China, my brother. What's up?
It is definitely not consistent with that scenario, right? And that is one of the things that the critics were resorting to, is essentially invoking this model of a single homogeneous object randomly striking the Earth, right? And because that model was found wanting, then the whole body of evidence that was being amassed by independent teams was being dismissed. Okay, so let's see. We're going to go up to one of the famous sites called Murray Springs. Let's take a look there at Murray Springs and see where that is on the map. We're taking a little bit of a detour here to tell a story that I think is going to be valuable. I was coming down the stairs, and I think somebody just ahead of me had spilled a little bit. My foot hit it, slid out from under me, and I tumbled down 3 or 4 stairs to the bottom. I sure banged up my left knee. It was painful, but I was very relieved to remember that I happened to pack.
You're cool, Stash. You're cool.
From the gods salve. And I was really grateful that I had remembered to do that. So that night I put some of the salve on, went to bed. Though I've being in the construction and building industry, I've had many falls and injuries and stuff, and I figured I'm going to be laid up with this for a month. We drove home, I think it was 3 to 4 days later. I continued applying the salve, and I would say within a week, I was getting around pretty good. I always bring the oil when I travel, and I'm now, after this episode, I'm like, okay, I'm always going to have the salve with me too. This is from this is our Wikipedia. So we've got Murray Springs is located in southern Arizona near the San Pedro River, and once served as a Clovis hunting camp approximately 11,000 years before present. The site is unique for the massive quantity of large megafauna processing and extensive tool making. Archaeologists identified 5 buried animal kills and processing locations and a Clovis camp location. So yeah, C. Vance Hayes, who we've already quoted in a previous episode, in 1966, along with Peter Maringer of the University of Arizona, discovered the site while extending the mapping of the area of the Laner Mammoth Kill site 19 kilometers to the south. Yeah, we visited that one as well. The archaeologists located 2 concentrations of mammoth bones that day. They were convinced the area was a Clovis site based on the bones, and because Murray Springs shared the same geological characteristics as the Laner site. Funding by the National Science Foundation and the National Geographic Society enabled excavations from 1967 to 1971. Some of the significant artifacts found during the excavation included hearths, a bone tool, projectile points, lithic tools, and debitage. The bone tool is believed to be a shaft straightener. So anyways, that's the site. The 5 buried animal kills and processing locations contain bones of mammoth, bison, horses, camels, canids, probably dire wolves, I'm guessing, and rodents. A worker found a single potsherd on the surface of the site that was associated to use approximately 1300 to 1450 of the Common Era. So that was of no relevance. That was a later thing that ended up there. Archaeologists noted peoples have used the spring over an extended period. An analysis of the site is interpreted as leaning against the extraterrestrial impact theory of the Pleistocene extinction. Now, there we go. See, okay, so we're going along. Everything is cool, factual. Then we get to this. Because it says an analysis of the site is interpreted as leaning against the extraterrestrial impact theory of the Pleistocene extinction. So there we, okay, so there we go. And they quote one paper, which we're going to look at when it comes time to examine the efforts of the critics to dismiss this idea. This is going back to C. Vance Haynes and others. It's entitled The Murray Springs Clovis Site, Pleistocene Extinction and the Question of Extraterrestrial Impact. And that was in 2010. Maybe as a response to this, because I have it right here. I have quotes from it, and this is interesting. Okay, so here's the Murray Spring Clovis Site, Pleistocene Extinction, etc. And what did they find there? It says the Clovis occupation surface at Murray Springs is a sharp stratigraphic contact upon which rests black organic clay, the black mat. Okay, I've been there, seen it. It's very prominent, very distinct. You can see it. But then it says it is believed to result from an algal bloom. Algae, a bloom of algae. But of course, that implies that the ground surface is saturated wet. The Murray Springs black mat covers and preserves the Clovis Age landscape. Hundreds of Clovis stone artifacts in direct association, this is the key, in direct association with skeletons of 2 mammoths, 11 bison, and bones of a dire wolf. Yeah, okay, so yeah, a dire wolf and horse were exposed under the black mat by archaeological excavations. And that is significant because they're not mentioning it, they're finding them above the black mat, only below. Well, then they found, they found this from the same paper. They found, let's see, they were using, among the buried samples, they took samples and they analyzed those samples and the magnetic particles, 0.82% of the total separated from each fraction. Magnetic particles are most concentrated in the silt to fine sand fractions. Examination under 100 scale and 400 scale in both reflected and transmitted light reveal what appear to be subangular detrital magnetite grains and rock-forming silicates, quartzes and feldspar, with a few silvery microspherules, ranging in size from approximately 10 to 70 microns. They look like microscopic, highly polished ball bearings. And here, these like highly polished ball bearings. Are you seeing these? This is our photomicrographs of magnetic microspherules.
Yes, sir.
So now, notice they are finding these magnetic microspherules. And what is the source of those? Let's go to the next slide here. We already read this, but then they go ahead and they say this. We retain the opinion that we have yet to understand what happened approximately 12,900 calendar years ago that abruptly terminated the major elements of Pleistocene megafauna. The ET impact hypothesis has sparked several investigations that are leading to new knowledge. And although our data from Mary Springs and elsewhere do not support it, neither do they preclude it. Oh, well, now that's, I would say, is pretty fair-minded, right? Wouldn't you agree?
It's almost like it doesn't necessarily lean against the Younger Dryas hypothesis.
Well, yeah, so if we go back to what they're saying here, an analysis of the site is interpreted as leaning against the extraterrestrial impact theory of the Pleistocene extinction. Now, is that your takeaway from, he's quoting, whoever wrote this for Wikipedia, it's quoting the article we just read from. Now, did you draw the conclusion that they were leaning against? It said no, it doesn't prove it, but neither do they preclude it. They also said, the ET impact hypothesis has sparked several investigations that are leading to new knowledge. They're acknowledging that. And although our data from although that's an important qualifier word, although our data from Murray Springs and elsewhere do not support it, neither do they preclude it. Okay, I read that, and then I read this final sentence here in this description from Wikipedia. An analysis of the site is interpreted as leaning against the extraterrestrial impact theory of the place. Now, if you read this, you would think, oh, okay, well, but see, then notice here that nowhere in this article, the Murray Springs Clovis site that's on Wikipedia, do they even mention the magnetic microspherules. It's not even mentioned here. So, I mean...
And they certainly don't provide another mechanism for those proxies. They provide zero mechanism, and they don't mention them.
And as we go through and work through this material, we will learn that magnetic microspherules are one of the consistent accepted proxies found in association. Maybe if you isolated it and you said, okay, there could be an alternate explanation origin for these magnetic microspherules. But if you find them in association with nanodiamonds or shocked quartz or melt glass or platinum group metals or any of the other things, well, yeah, then it's a pretty good bet that those magnetic microspherules are the result of a cosmic impact of some kind. I'm going to pause for just a minute to talk about our partners over at Shippo, who may save you a significant amount of headache in your day-to-day business. We sell a variety of geometry tools and models, like our beautiful platonic solids here at Randall Carlson LLC. And when it comes to managing shipping, e-commerce, and returns, we've been using Shippo for over 4 years now, and we're very pleased with their service. Shippo's interface is intuitive, the primary order page is easy to navigate, and we have enjoyed stellar technical support. If Shippo can help you with your needs, please use the code below to partner with a great company while supporting our work here at Squaring the Circle. Thanks, and now back to the show. So that's the Murray Springs site. And then we had this, the work of a team out of, let's see, they are, we found Melissa Scruggs. She is with the Department of Geosciences at the University of Minnesota. And her and how many colleagues did an excavation in the Baja Peninsula of California. And they begin this, and they report, this was at the North Central Section, 44th Annual and Southern Central Section Joint Meeting of the Geological Society of America. And this was a presentation, paper number 1, presented, and this meeting was occurred over April 11th to the 13th back in 2010. Same year now as this Murray Springs Clovis site we just were quoting from. And the title of this paper is Investigation of Sediment Containing Evidence of the Younger Dryas Boundary Impact Event El Carrizal, Baja California Sur, Mexico. So I think you just had a map up there. We can see where this, yeah, zoom out a bit. Yeah, there we go. Way down there in the bottom end of the Baja Peninsula is where this site is that was examined by this team. And just, is it right there? You got it right. So much right there, interestingly, in that little triangle. And then we have what is that, a Catholic church right there, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I would assume it would be somewhere out here in that outcrop.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yep. So, the Younger Dryas Boundary Extraterrestrial Impact Hypothesis posits that one or more, important because I'm convinced it was more than one, but in 2010, that's an open question. I think the evidence comes down pretty solidly on the favor of it being a multi-impact event. But in 2010, in the early stages of really discussing this seriously and scientifically, one was considered, because of course that was the standard model of virtually all impact events, right? One or more extraterrestrial impacts exploded over the Laurentide ice sheet, 12,900 plus or minus 100 years ago. The event is purported to have triggered the Younger Dryas stadial and coincides with the Rancho La Brea termination and the disappearance of the Paleo-Indian Clovis culture. So let's back up. What do we mean by a stadial? What do we mean by that? The Younger Dryas stadial. Okay, very briefly, I've explained this before, but it never hurts to reiterate a little bit. Okay, you've got, let's go, so you got full glacial, interglacial. Full glacial, 15 to 20,000 years ago, 6 million cubic miles of ice, temperatures 10 degrees colder worldwide, et cetera, et cetera. Interglacial, like right now, okay? Now, think of those as two extremes. And we can see in the record of climate change that the climate has oscillated between glacial and interglacial with wide swings. But there's also probably even more lesser swings where it doesn't go to full interglacial or back to full glacial. Where it swings to the cold but doesn't go to the full glacial, we're referring to that as a stadial. So you've got a stadial and you've got an interstadial. You've got a glacial and you've got an interglacial. And so you could almost think of the oscillation like this: stayed, stadial, interstayed, glacial, interglacial. Stadial, interstayed, glacial, interglacial. So it's really more, I guess you could think of it as a magnitude function. Okay, so that's the Younger Dryas stadial, because what happened? It shifted back for 1,300 years to glacial, almost glacial cold, maybe glacial cold, in which case maybe stadial wouldn't be the appropriate term. But again, Hey, this is 2010. Okay, what they know back then? Okay, it also coincides with the Rancho La Brea termination, the La Brea tar pits out in LA, where all of the extinct megafauna are trapped in the tar. That gave its name to this particular epoch or stage of mammalian life on Earth or in North America, the Rancho La Brea. So they call the Rancho La Brea termination essentially means the extinction of the megafauna in North America. Okay. And the disappearance of the Paleo-Indian Clovis culture. Evidence supporting or refuting this hypothesis has great implications for the fields of geology, paleontology, and archaeology. And here's some of the geochemical markers of the YDB, Younger Dryas Boundary impact, which include magnetic and carbonaceous spheroids. Okay, so just like they found at the Murray Springs, they found magnetic spheroids. Okay, elevated levels of radioactivity and iridium and nanodiamonds, and a special type of nanodiamond called lonsdaleite, which we should learn more about that so we can distinguish between nanodiamonds and lonsdaleite. And lonsdaleite, if I recall, are cubical structures. Let's see what it says. It's named after, what's her name? She was a really highly accomplished woman scientist, Lonsdale, I believe. This paper by Scruggs goes on, says the event horizon at sites across North America is often overlain by a darker layer, the black mat. Our field site for testing the Younger Dryas Boundary ET impact hypothesis is located on the El Carrizal Fault, and you found that. We couldn't see the fault, but maybe the fault is represented there by that outcrop. I'm not sure. South of La Paz in Baja California. The site is situated along the uplifted or southwest side of the fault within an arroyo, exposing Pleistocene Holocene transition sediments. The presence of in situ Rancho La Brea megafauna fossils at El Carrizal was independently verified by investigators from the Universidad Autónoma de Baja California Sur in La Paz. Cranial and postcranial sections of Mammuthus columbi, which is the Columbian mammoth, were excavated from the sampling site in 1997. Sediment samples were taken from a 3-meter stratigraphic section, so about 10 feet at El Carrizal, which spanned the sediments where the mammoth fossils were located. The section included an anomalous greenish clastic layer. What do I mean by clastic? Basically broken rock, okay? Or rock that is contained, think of it as chunks like raisins in bread pudding. And the raisins are the clasts, and the pudding would be the matrix, okay? So there's a greenish clastic layer at approximately 138 plus or minus 6 centimeters below the road surface. This layer suggests a correlation to the black mat stratum noted at many other terminal sites. Now, here's the important part. Preliminary and laboratory analysis yielded magnetic spherical particles under the 60 to 70 power magnification. And a peak in radioactivity was found at a depth of 136 to 138 centimeters, coinciding with the lower part of the darker green layer. Elemental analysis for iridium and lonsdaleite are currently underway. So did you find lonsdaleite?
So lonsdaleite is a hexagonal structure, unlike the typical nanodiamond, which is a cubic structure.
Cubical structure.
Lonsdaleite is named after Kathleen Lonsdale, and
she was, what was she, a geochemist?
Yes. So
you got a little bio there on your, don't
I
you?
do. Let me go ahead and pull it up. This is courtesy of Wiki. So here's the lady herself. And
Okay.
so, yes, she is a crystallographer.
Okay.
Yeah. Pacifist and prison reform activist. This woman was busy.
Wow. She proved in 1929 that the benzene ring is flat by using X-ray diffraction methods to elucidate the structure of hexamethylbenzene.
Gesundheit.
She was the first to use Fourier spectral methods, which, while solving the structure of hexachlorobenzene in 1931. So she was, fellow of the Royal, one of the first two women elected a fellow of the Royal Society. So she was no lightweight. First female professor at University College London, first woman president of the International Union of Crystallography. I wonder what she would think if she knew that her work is being used to support the extraterrestrial impact hypothesis. So she died in 1971. Wonder if Lonsdaleite was even being used then as a proxy. Or where did Lonsdaleite first show up? In a laboratory or in nuclear testing? Or was found in meteorites? I know it was found in meteorites. And I believe it was produced as a byproduct of nuclear weapons testing. Now, I'm not sure of that, but and there are probably productions of it in a laboratory, I'm guessing.
Yeah, Canyon Diablo is the Canyon Diablo iron meteorite fragment is the first formation, I believe, that I can find at the moment that has Lonsdaleite.
Okay, and
So-
I believe that makes sense because this is actually, that's what's also known as Meteor Crater near Winslow, Arizona.
1891, so they would have found it at that time.
Okay, so interesting. Okay, there's more of a story here that I don't want to get into in too much detail now, but that would be good to know. So, Meteor Crater, that we've been 3-4 tours, I think, there now. I've taken groups to there because it's such an impressive big hole in the ground. But okay, so we can add another interesting detail to the studies of this, that was the first place that Lonsdaleite, but when it was probably not called Lonsdaleite when it was found in those meteorites, in the meteor fragments.
Well, Kathleen Lonsdale was born in 1907 or 1903. Let me pull that up. Kathleen Lonsdale was born in 1903, so it couldn't have been called Lonsdaleite at the time.
No, nope. Okay, well, there's an interesting story there. She sounds like a rather interesting woman, and again, no lightweight. And I could make some quasi-political comments about, I'll bet, I have a feeling that she probably very rarely complained about discrimination. She was probably too busy with her research and her studies and her work and her extracurricular activities to even think about that, I'm guessing. All right, so Lonsdaleite then is one of the proxies that we would list in that list of proxies that would include nanodiamonds and magnetic microspherules of different kinds, magnetic grains, melt glass, iridium, platinum, osmium, etc. So now we're going to move that same year, 2010, interesting year for impact studies, younger dryas impact studies. This is William C. Mahaney, David Crinsley, and Vale Calm. I don't know. Let's see, we can see who the affiliations are here. This was published in the journal Sedimentary Geology, 2010. The title of this paper by William C. Mahaney, who is with quaternary surveys out of Canada. David Crinsley with the Department of Geological Sciences, University of Oregon, and Valley Calm Institute of Ecology and Earth Sciences, Tartu University in Estonia. Okay, didn't know anything about and don't know anything about Tartu University in Estonia. But anyways, so you had, international trio here. And here's the title of the paper, Evidence for a Cosmogenic Origin of Fired Glaciofluvial Beds. Fired Glaciofluvial Beds. Interesting. So we've learned this term, glaciofluvial, when you have the effects of glaciers and the effects of flowing water combined, we use the term glaciofluvial. So here we have fired glaciofluvial beds in northwestern Andes. Correlation with experimentally heated quartz and feldspar. So let's see what this study was all about. So in the Andes, okay, so here we go. This is from the abstract. Fired sediment, considered equivalent to the black mat impact of 12.9 thousand years ago, has been located and analyzed in the Andes of northwestern Venezuela. The black mat refers to possible fallout from the Encke comet airburst, presumed to have occurred over the Laurentide ice sheet. We should pause there. The Encke comet, the fact that he mentions that is interesting. That is an hypothesis. We don't have proof, but it fits the bill pretty good. Now, Encke's comet, what do we know about Encke's comet? Is it associated with a meteor stream?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Do you know, John, which one?
I know you're going to tell me, Randall.
I was going to let you have one guess.
One guess? It's not the Torrid, is it?
Yes, it is.
Well, that narrows it down pretty good.
It does. I knew you would get the answer right. That's why I went ahead and put you on the spot.
It's the relevant one.
Yeah. Comet Encke is associated. It's part of the Taurid family of meteors and asteroids and pseudo-cometary objects swirling about the sun out there. And Encke, I think, is 3.3 years, one full elliptical cycle.
Sounds right. I had to look it up because I was captioning one of the videos. So how do you spell Encke? So I had to look that up.
Encke.
Kke. Yes, I had to look that up.
And that's different than the god Enki from Sumerian mythology. Just let's be clear on that, okay? Not named after the Sumerian god, named after the astronomer that discovered it. Okay, so this though, okay, so the Encke comet airburst. Now, we're going to definitely come back to that, why the Taurid meteor stream seems to be a prime candidate. And I think the evidence is lining up pretty convincingly that the Taurid meteor stream is a prime candidate for the progenitor of the Younger Dryas whole series of events. So, presumed to have occurred over the Laurentide ice sheet. The impact spreading ejecta over large portions of North America and Europe, making it an interhemispheric event of considerable magnitude. These possible equivalent beds in the northern Andes, first considered to result from a lightning-induced conflagration adjacent to the retreating late Wisconsin or Merida glaciation ice, are now known to have undergone intense heating upon impact to a temperature much higher than what would occur in a wet first stage successional tundra. I want to back up for a minute, toot my own horn. Presumed to have occurred over the Laurentide ice sheet. This was a scenario that I began to ponder at least by 1990. I was pondering that. And I have recorded, only audio record, but I have an audio recording of 5 lectures that I gave at Warren Wilson College in North Carolina in 1995 or 96. And I'm describing a multi-impact event over the Laurentide ice sheet. I do not reference the Younger Dryas, although I give the date of there being something exceptional happening around 12,900 years ago. We should get a transcript of that because I kind of lay it out. And it's so very gratifying to me to see the rest of these guys catching up. Okay, so then, so they did look up FESEM, which would be a type of scanning electron microscope.
A field emission scanning electron microscope.
Mm-hmm. So field emissions, does it give us a little?
Okay, it's an advanced type of scanning electron microscope, or SEM, that utilizes a field emission electron source to produce a focused beam of electrons. This allows for high resolution imaging of surface structures and features of materials. The FESM is known for its ability to achieve a higher magnification and resolution compared to traditional SEMs, making it a valuable tool for research and analysis in various fields.
So field
emission
electron microscope. So they used Mahaney and his 2 colleagues did their analysis using both standard scanning electron microscopy and field emission scanning electron microscopy. And what they showed was massive disruption, massive micro disruption on grain surfaces, fractures diminishing with depth toward grain interiors, and carbon welded onto quartz and plagioclase minerals. The presence of copious monazite in the carbonaceous coatings is considered part of the incoming ejecta. Monazite, M-O-N-A-Z-I-T-E. It's considered monazite in the carbonaceous coatings is considered part of the incoming ejecta. So you've got carbon welded onto quartz, and then because of the presence of this copious monazite in the carbonaceous coatings, it's considered part of the incoming ejecta, as it is not a common indicator mineral in the local lithology. So what did you find for monazite?
So monazite is a phosphate mineral that serves as a significant source of rare earth elements and thorium. It's known for its reddish-brown color and occurs as small grains in various rocks or as monazite sand in placer deposits. Monazite is commercially available for its rare earth element content.
Okay, so what they're saying here, there was no monazite minerals in the local lithology, in the local rocks, those kind of rocks. But there was copious monazite in these carbon material that's welded onto the quartz.
So it's foreign, you could say, not terrestrial.
Most likely not, right? Well, it goes on to say here, oh wow, the intergrowth of carbonaceous black matte material with thermally disrupted and fragmented quartz and feldspar. And feldspar is what I think the most abundant mineral on Earth, isn't it? Next to quartz, perhaps. So you have the intergrowth of carbonaceous black matte material with thermally disrupted and fragmented quartz and feldspar.
Yeah, feldspar is 60% of the Earth's crust.
There we go. Okay. So disrupted, fragmented, thermally disrupted from heat, and fragmented quartz and feldspar. Okay. So you've got the intergrowth of carbonaceous black matte material with thermally disrupted and fragmented quartz and feldspar, a welded patina of 100 to 400 nanometer thickness could only occur with temperatures in excess of 900 degrees centigrade. The event interpreted here to be of cosmogenic origin. So this welded patina, 100 to 400 nanometers in thickness, there could only occur with temperatures in excess of 900 degrees centigrade. Convert that to Fahrenheit, if you don't mind.
So that would be 1,652 in freedom units Fahrenheit.
Okay, so that would hurt if you got burned by that.
1652.
Uh-huh.
And to be at least 900. Could have been hotter.
Okay, I got a picture of monazite. So it's a rare phosphate mineral with a chemical composition of, we don't need to get into all of that. We've got lanthanum, neodymium, thorium, but it usually occurs in small isolated grains as an accessory mineral in igneous and metamorphic rocks, such as granite, pegmatite, schist, and gneiss. Monazite is an important ore for thorium, lanthanum, and cerium. It is often found in placer deposits. Like you said, India, Madagascar, and South Africa have large deposits of monazite sand. Could that possibly... now, I know South Africa has had some major, huge impacts in several of them down there. I wonder if the large deposits of monazite could be associated with that. Monazite is radioactive, sometimes highly radioactive, and specimens are often metamixed. Okay, well, that's a picture of a monazite crystal. Okay, let's go on here. Same paper. The reversal of global warming during the Alarode subchron and the sudden onset of the Younger Dryas cooling event has been documented by a number of researchers. Coinciding with a large-scale Clovis age megafaunal extinction, it had far-reaching consequences affecting the geoecological environment across North America and Europe. Newly discovered sites in Europe indicate the event was indeed interhemispheric and may have affected the entire world. And I think what we've learned in the 15 years since then is we can say with almost certainty that it did in fact affect the entire world. Although clearly contentious as to proof for an extraterrestrial origin of the black mat, the one site location in the northern Andes described herein and new evidence from Patagonia point tentatively to either an asteroid or comet event that reached far into South America, perhaps even to the Antarctic. And what we have here is your thick carbon coat on an unidentified disrupted silicate showing heavily fractured surface. It looks like it's been broken along these angles here. Thick carbon coat. I guess that's what this smooth part is right here, is the thick carbon coating on an unidentified disrupted silicate showing heavily fractured surface. And here's your energy dispersive spectrum, spectrum, which if you look up EDS for us, look up energy dispersive spectroscopy.
EDS is an analytical technique used to determine the elemental composition of a sample. It works by detecting the Detecting and analyzing X-rays emitted from a material when it's bombarded with electrons, usually in a scanning electron microscope. The energy of these X-rays is unique to each element, allowing for identification and quantification of the elements present.
Okay, well, that's what we've got right here. We've got an EDS, energy dispersive spectroscopy spectrum right here as an example. And what we have here is this is your kilovolts, which is the charge of these the charges coming off when you bombard the sample, and you're getting the spectrum. You're analyzing the spectrum, which is going to contain peaks that are associated with the frequency of those particular elements. So you can see here, you got the biggest spike, interestingly, is gold. You got a big spike of carbon there, so that's what we were reading about, the carbon. We've got some oxygen, we've got aluminum, silicon, chlorine, calcium, manganese, and iron. So this shows aluminum, silica at 1:5:1 in that ratio, 1.5 to 1. Probably calcium plagioclase with cosmic aluminum. The high carbon is from impact ejecta and ignited terrestrial vegetation. Interesting. So that's where the carbon came from. Impact ejecta. So when that impact slams into the earth, the ejecta explodes outward, and then it creates secondary fires. That material is now igniting the vegetation, the terrestrial vegetation. So that's what you see here. The high carbon is from impact ejecta and ignited terrestrial vegetation. Traces of manganese and iron are typical components of the black mat. Origin of chlorine is unknown, but might originate from a comet/meteorite airburst. I wonder if chlorine was found in association with Tunguska. So, the database described herein does not conclusively prove an ET impact airburst at 12.9 for the black mat, as we have detected no irrefutable PDFs, that's planar deformation features, which is a feature that occurs in quartz when it's subject to shock pressures. It forms a network of fracture lines that are very conspicuous when you look at them through a microscope. If you look up shocked quartz, okay, for the black mat, we have detected no irrefutable PDFs, shock melted quartz, iridium, or nanodiamonds in the samples analyzed thus far. But the data described here highlight a mat of glassy carbon spherules fused and welded onto alluvium, firmly dated to within the Younger Dryas initiation window. So clearly something happened. The carbon-rich mat, a nanometer thick coating, is encrusted on brecciated or broken fractured minerals of quartz and feldspar. The disrupted mineral surface is interpreted to result from mass impact and extreme heat. In 8 out of 10 occurrences, carbon is coated or welded onto mineral grains. So, I mean, clearly they're finding something. He says it doesn't prove an ET impact, but it certainly is indicative that something happened involving pressures and high temperatures and so on. So what did you find for shocked quartz? Ah, look at that. Very distinct, yeah.
And it forms a pattern.
Whitman-Stanton, I think it's Whitman-Stanton pattern, but yeah, very distinct. Is there any more examples?
Let's see here. I thought I had one more from this page.
So that was shocked quartz found in association with the KT boundary?
With Chicxulub, actually.
Chicxulub, yeah, that's the KT boundary impact.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
I've got you another one right.
So shocked quartz is considered to be one of the major diagnostics for high pressure impact events. Yeah, there you can see that same kind of a pattern again.
Got two for you there.
Yeah, shocked quartz, photomicrograph of shocked quartz grains, 0.13 millimeter across. That's from the Chesapeake Bay impact crater. Okay, so the Chesapeake Bay impact crater is worth talking about because it was associated. It seemed to happen very close in time to an impact of roughly the same size up in Siberia called the Papagai, and there seems to have been a mortality event associated with it, and there was also tektite formation over the southeastern United States from the Chesapeake Bay impact. And there is a display, or they used to have a display of Georgiites or Georgia tektites. Georgiites is what they were called, but they have been found in Georgia down just below Macon on the fall line where the transition occurs from the Piedmont to the coastal plain. And there's an outcrop there of a late Eocene sand deposit that would have been the surface of the ground when that impact occurred in the Chesapeake Bay roughly 35 million years. That rained down. Now, it's now buried under dozens of feet of accumulated sediments.
The extreme fire risk has pushed Nova Scotia leaders to take big steps and ban some popular activities. Camping, hiking, fishing, using vehicles in the woods. It's all off the table as the smallest spark could be catastrophic in the tinder dry conditions.
I'm losing sleep about what's happening, and that's why we're here today.
The Premier knows some people won't be happy with this plan to pull as many people from the woods as possible, but he says he has no choice. The conditions are eerily similar to 2 years ago when massive fires burned down hundreds of homes.
As a society, we must do everything possible to protect each other, to protect our communities, to protect property, and of course, to protect lives.
Official campgrounds will remain open. Anyone who breaks the rules faces a $25,000 fine. The new rules also extend to forestry and mining companies who now need permits in order to keep working on Crown land. Some will have to work at night to minimize the risk.
I understand these restrictions mean that some people will need to change their plans and routines. But when compared to the damage that we saw in 2023, it's not a risk to take.
And if you're a smoker, for God's sakes, be mindful of where you're butting your butt out. If you don't, and you cause a fire, we will hold you accountable.
For those who spend time in the woods, this is coming as no surprise. The province's ATV Association says its members have been talking about the increasingly dry conditions for weeks.
So we have 5, 6, 7 events planned for the next month. They're rallies and jamborees, that kind of stuff. They're all things that can occur later in the year. So it's a matter of waiting for the rain and then moving the dates so that they comply with the ministerial order.
This is not a situation that will improve overnight. When the rain does come, it will take days of soaking to alleviate the situation and open up the woods once again. Carolyn Ray, CBC News, Halifax.
Hey there. Today I want to talk about Nova Scotia's ban on going into the forest, which they claim is to keep people safe. And I want to talk about the problem with this safety above all else ideology, which is sometimes called safetyism, as well as Canada's nanny state. And I'll tell you what we are doing about it at the Canadian Constitution Foundation. I can't wait to tell you all about it. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Christine, and I'm the litigation director at the Canadian Constitution Foundation, a legal charity that fights for fundamental freedoms in Canada. I upload regular videos about our ongoing legal cases and about other interesting developments in constitutional law in Canada. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please hit like and subscribe below. It really helps my videos out a lot. Also, please remember, nothing in this video is legal advice. If you have your own legal question or problem, please consult your own lawyer. Okay, so what the heck is happening in Nova Scotia? Well, on August 5th, Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston announced a province-wide ban on entering the woods until October 15th. This was done by way of proclamation under a provincial statute called the Forests Act. And what this proclamation did is ban hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles like ATVs in the woods. Now, this applies to Crown land, which is about 89% of Canada's land, most of it managed by provinces like Nova Scotia. But the ban actually even goes further. It applies to private property as well if you have forested property. You can go into your own property. Well, thanks for that, I guess. But you cannot invite other people to come onto your property if it's to go into the forest. So no inviting your mom over to walk her dog with you in the woods. And if you do, the fine for violating this forest ban is $25,000. Now, the Premier says that this is due to an elevated wildfire risk. And yes, there are dry conditions in Nova Scotia, and preventing wildfires is important. A wildfire in 2023 did a lot of damage to Nova Scotia. Many houses were burned, a huge amount of forest was burned, and one of the purposes of the Forests Act, that piece of legislation this proclamation is made under, one of the purposes is preventing and mitigating wildfires in a changing climate. So it is the province's responsibility to prevent and mitigate fires. But the ban here does too much, because walking in the woods, fishing, having a picnic, bird watching, these things do not cause fires. Ban fires. That makes total sense. You can ban fires. That would prevent forest fires. And in fact, there are fire bans in place in parts of Canada every single summer. Look, I even understand the ban on vehicles. I can see that rationale. You know, an ATV or a motorbike in the woods can have a hot exhaust pipe that could spark a fire if left in a pile of leaves. So there is a logical chain of reasoning there. But it makes no sense to ban walking. And it also makes no sense to have this ban in places where there are not active fires or this heightened, really severe risk. It is applying across the entire province. And it would make sense to ban entering the forest where there is an active fire, for example. That's the approach that's taken in British Columbia, where fires happen very regularly. Devastating fires happen in BC every season. There are bad fires in BC right now happening. And what that province does is they create exclusion zones. So they will have areas where you can't go into the forest, but they're in specific areas. They're not just all forests in the entire province. So BC is divided into different fire centers, and they have different levels of exclusion for different activities. So they might create a prohibition on a campfire or on different types of what are called open fires. These are pile fires that you might see on a farm, or they might create a forest use or area restriction. If there's an area restriction, though, they will publish a map of what is restricted. So, for example, I'll put up a map of a restriction in BC Prince George Fire Center that's in place right now. This is related to the Kiskatuna River wildfire, and this is the map of where it applies. So these exclusion zones, they do exist for good reason. There's an active fire. You don't want people to get caught in an active fire, and you don't want them interfering with firefighting activity. But in comparison, Nova Scotia has currently 4 active wildfires that are under control, but they have banned going into any forest, even to walk in areas where there are no fires. Now, in Canada, we have access to Crown lands, which, as I said, is mostly managed by the provinces, and it can be used, Crown land can be used for things like hiking, camping, fishing, or hunting with a license, canoeing, but it's a regulated right. The province can put restrictions on our access to Crown land, and it can even restrict how we use private land. But just because something is regulated does not mean that the government has absolute, untrammeled discretion to do whatever they want. In Canadian administrative law, discretion refers to the ability of a decision maker, cabinet, government, an official, to choose between different permissible options when they're making a decision. But this discretion is not unlimited. It needs to be exercised lawfully, reasonably, and fairly. So discretion must be exercised within the bounds of the law and for the purposes of that is intended by the statute. It needs to be exercised reasonably. It needs to be justified, transparent, and intelligible, and reflect a rational chain of reasoning. It cannot be based on irrelevant factors. This is all from a Supreme Court case called Vavilov. So here, I think that there is some administrative law vulnerability to this forest ban. There's just zero connection between walking in the woods and preventing wildfires. Walking does not cause wildfires. And to make some deduction that when people walk, they might also do something else that causes a fire is just too much of a stretch. It's like saying people can't drive their cars because they might run people down on the sidewalk, or people can't walk on the sidewalk because they might punch someone in the face. You can ban the dangerous activity or the illegal activity without preventing the zero risk activity. Anything else is irrational, and it's couched in this terrible ideology of safetyism where no risk is acceptable. Safetyism is a mentality where risk becomes an excuse for control. It's a belief that safety, especially protection from physical or even emotional or mental harm, should be prioritized above all else, even at the cost of other fundamental values like freedom or autonomy or open debate. It often starts with what seem like good intentions, protect people from danger. But when safety becomes the highest value, governments, institutions, or even individuals begin to justify really extreme restrictions and overreach in the name of protecting the public. And it creates a culture where any risk is seen as intolerable, any disagreement or dissent is viewed as dangerous, and state control is normalized for your own good. Once a government sees that this overreach is workable, it's replayed over and over and over again every few years. And that's what we are seeing happen in Nova Scotia, because this is not the first time Nova Scotia has done this. They did it in 2023. They banned going in the woods in 2023, and in 2016 and in 2001. But when they did it in 2016, the fine was only $180, not $25,000. And it used to be, I think back in 2023, the fine was $237. But then the Nova Scotia government amended one of the offenses in this whole slate of fire-related offenses to $25,000 after those 2023 fires, when the government and all of the people in Nova Scotia were freaked out and upset about the damage that fire had caused. So they increased one penalty to $25,000. But because $25,000 is just absolutely insane, grossly disproportionate, and overkill, the Crown, when these tickets were coming in, they were plea bargaining them away to other lesser fire-related offenses. So then the government responded by amending the whole slate of these offenses to all be $25,000. But in a funny, technical point, these are not mandatory minimums. They're just out-of-court settlements. They're amounts that people can pay if they don't want to appear in front of a judge. A separate provincial statute actually allows the judge to remit all or some of the penalty to zero. So, true to form, this is all for show. It's so that the Nova Scotia government can act tough in front of the cameras. They just want to be seen as doing something, even if it is not anything meaningful. And they even created a tip line where they encourage you to snitch on people who you might suspect of, going for a picnic. I mean, does this give anyone else COVID deja vu? Remember when we were encouraged to snitch on our neighbors for hosting an illegal gathering like a family dinner? When the government says everything is dangerous, everything can be controlled. But when safety becomes a weapon, we all lose. So we at the CCF wrote to the Premier of Nova Scotia encouraging the government to rescind this ban, just act normally, ban fires, not walking. And even more than that, I think that the Forest Act doesn't even permit the province to ban walking in the woods for the whole province. While the Forest Act contemplates restricting travel into particular zones to protect the forests, it is unreasonable to interpret this part of the act as authorizing a blanket province-wide ban on activities that pose no serious risk of sparking a fire. This blanket travel ban in the proclamation infringes the right to liberty protected by Section 7 of the Charter. It limits common law rights to use public lands, and it might also impact Aboriginal and treaty rights that are protected and guaranteed under Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982. And of course, as I said, this $25,000 fine is grossly disproportionate. So we've also made it possible for you to tell the Premier what you think of the forest ban with a petition to keep Nova Scotia trails open. It's at the ccf.ca/restore access to NS forests, Nova Scotia forests. So please go and sign it and share the petition on social media. We're also considering bringing a legal challenge to the forest ban, depending on how the government responds to our letter and to our petition. And one of the things that this whole experience has done is make me kind of sad and honestly frightened about the number of people that defend this type of thing. The number of people who would willingly submit to an authoritarian policy because the government tells them it is to keep them safe. And that is really depressing. You know, a lot of people are saying online that a massive $25,000 fine for walking is a good deterrent. I mean, we don't even have fines like that for certain criminal offenses. Other people are saying, you know, oh, people might walk, but when they do, they might also smoke. Okay, well, if people are let outside their homes, they may also commit a crime. The solution isn't to lock everyone inside. That is some Minority Report thinking and very authoritarian. And governments have historically done all kinds of atrocious things in the name of safety. You know, the War Measures Act was used in response to the October crisis to keep people safe. It was one of the greatest violations of civil liberties in Canada. The cancellation of Sean Foyt's concert permits that happened recently, that was done in the name of safety. The internment of Japanese Canadians was justified as safety. And of course, COVID restrictions were all done to keep us safe. To me, this feels like a real muscle memory being triggered. I'm being told that where I can and cannot go in order to keep other people safe. And the same people who defended those COVID lockdowns that kept our children out of school and destroyed local businesses are now defending this fire lockdown. So please go sign our petition, send a message to the Premier that this is not okay. I also have a report coming out next week about some of the worst examples of government overreach in the name of safety. If you sign up for our email update list at the ccf.ca/freedom updates, you'll receive that report coming out next week where I go through the top 10 worst examples where the government has violated civil liberties in the name of safety. This overreach in the name of keeping us safe and protected needs to stop. Government isn't my dad. I don't need them telling me where I cannot go and what is best for me. Okay, that's all for this update. Thanks for watching, and let's keep fighting for freedom in Canada.
Safe before